Taking a look at the trading week beginning September 16th, we want to keep a close eye on the equity markets and gold. Historically, equities and gold, meaning the U.S. stock market and the precious metal, are negatively correlated or inversely correlated. But they were both sharply higher this past week. The S&P and the NASDAQ just finished their fifth straight week higher. The Russell and the Dow, 4 of the last 5 weeks higher, and gold actually rose to a new all-time high last week. So two assets that are normally inversely or negatively correlated, gold and the U.S. equity markets, ran in the same direction, but not only in the same direction, they did so in impressive fashion. And when you look at that, there are a couple of scenarios where that normally happens. I shouldn't say normally because they're odd scenarios, but one of them is when there's expected inflation or an expected rise in inflation and central banks are not fighting that inflation. They're either keeping rates stable or they're dropping them. And the second part of what I just said is clearly happening now. We're not sure about inflation at this point, but we did get stronger CPI and stronger PPI than expected last week. Yields went a little bit lower in the front end of the curve, 2-year and 5-year, and they were basically slower, but by a lot less in the 10-year and the 30-year. Next week is also a central bank week. We've got a rate meeting set for the FOMC, the Bank of England, and the Bank of Japan. FOMC, as of right now, about a 50-50 split between a 25 basis point cut and a 50 basis point cut. Bank of England, unsure if they're going to do anything. Bank of Japan leaning toward tightening rather than a cut. So it's odd expectations. It's an odd mix. The FOMC specifically may affect markets quite a bit. Earnings and data next week. Earnings are very light, but we do have 9 companies with over $1 billion in market cap reporting, including Federal Express, the home builder Lennar, General Mills, and Darden Restaurant Group. Sunday night, no data coming out. Monday night, Japanese and Chinese markets are closed for holidays. And in the U.S., nothing really interesting except maybe the 3-month and 6-month bill auctions. Tuesday, EU ZEW Economic Sentiment Index, retail sales and industrial production in the U.S. Wednesday, consumer price data in the U.K. and Japan, and an FOMC rate decision in the U.S. Thursday, Bank of England rate decision, Philly Fed and jobless claims in the U.S., and a Bank of Japan interest rate decision. Friday, retail sales in the UK and Canada, and Philly Fed President Patrick Harker is speaking in the US.